What's happening, people? It's Zach Beats. It's good to be here for my first YouTube tutorial. We're about to get into it. UK drill 808 slides. The reason why I wanted to do this as my first video is that there's a lot of literature and videos out there on how to do UK drill 808s, but it's all in FL Studio or Logic. And there's not much going on in the ways of Ableton. So I'm an Ableton user as well as other DAWs, but that's where I'm most comfortable. So I thought I'd just get into the process of how I do my 808s, quick, nice and easy and simple, get that UK drill slide vibe going on without being too complicated, and explain a little bit about what I'm doing. Hopefully that makes sense. So firstly, I'm going to show you a UK drill track that I've been making for this tutorial. I've made the sample with a few elements, resampled it and laid it up with some hi-hats and drums. I'll just play that for you now. Fairly simple UK drill vibe going on, syncopated drums. You got that half-time style piano with the swell of delay going on with the half-time. A little bit of the distant vocal in the background, violin on the side playing the counter melody. Fairly straightforward stuff for the genre. So what we'll do is, first of all, we'll get our 808 sample. So this source 808. And then what we would normally do is double click our new clip in here. For our clip length, I would normally go for 4 bars. Then I'll draw in my 808 pattern. Now, because I knew I was going to do this tutorial, I drew out an 808 pattern earlier, and I saved it as MIDI. So I'm going to drag that in. Right here you can see the pattern that I've drawn in. Play it before we start putting in the slides in. Sounds like this. Here we go, the good stuff. So when you drag your sample into Ableton, it opens it up automatically into a simpler. When I right click your simpler here, you want to change your simpler to sampler. When you do that, it's going to give you a more advanced version of a sampler. It's going to give you access to this MIDI section. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be automating the MIDI, and more importantly, pitch bend range of the MIDI. So where it says +5, that means it's set to +5 semitones as its maximum automation ceiling and floor. It works both ways. I'm going to lift that up to 12 semitones. That's an octave. So it means that when you tell Ableton to lift up the pitch by 100%, it's going to lift it up by a whole octave. And that just makes it easier for you drawing in the shapes and stuff, the envelope shapes, because you can go right to the top of the piano roll, which you'll see in a second, and it'll always be within the octave, on the octave, and in key. There's no chance of you using any wrong note stuff. Once you've done that, click into your clip. You want to launch the automation menu. Go up here to envelopes, make sure that's on MIDI control, because that's what we're going to be affecting, and it's set to pitch bend because that's what we clicked last when we was over on that section of MIDI control on the sampler on the other page. So that's not there, just click into the sub menu here and just make sure you've got pitch selected. With this, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be drawing envelope shapes. If you right click, see Ableton gives you loads of wacky, wonderful envelope shapes, right? So I'll click one of these. It's going to slap that in there. This is what it's going to do to that. It's not quite what we're going for, but you get the idea. If you right click again and you choose something else, let's say you want to choose this shape, it's obviously going to send your pitch up. If I zoom into it, it's going to send your pitch up from below. So it means it's going to send it down 12 semitones, because that's where we set the range. It's going to shoot it up 12 semitones, and then it's going to come back 12 semitones, and then it's going to go back to normal. That's what that would sound like. So we're going to be drawing shapes like this that make the sound of the typical UK drill slide and wobble. Let me delete this automation. So what I want to do is I'm going to affect these two first. I want to do a normal slide here. I want it to go down quickly in pitch, come up and hold. I want it to do the same, and I want it to hold for a slower decay on the second note. Pick your markers in on your note length. So I'm going to affect this note first. So I always like to start at the beginning of the note and the end of the note. Drag up to the top here. Drag up to the top halfway through the note. You can see. Put another marker in. Drag that to the bottom. So what you're telling Ableton to do right now is you're telling it to come and hit this note. Drop down quickly. Raise up over half the note's length. And then hold it for the second half of the note's length. Or going back to normal and hitting the next note. The beauty of Ableton is you can copy and paste these envelope shapes. So I just hold down, drag, and then hit Command C. And then I can Command V anywhere on this automation layout or map here. So Command D, it will duplicate it straight away. So Command D, going to send me here. And remember I said I want this to come down a bit longer this time. So put my marker in at the end of the note length here. Getting there, it's getting to that sound. So I know that I'm going to want to affect some more of the shorter notes with this same shape. Again, highlight it, copy it, Command C. Come to these shorter shapes here. Command V, or Control V if you're on a PC. I'm on Mac. I'm going to leave these two short notes. Then see, this is the beginning of the next bar. It's got the same shape as what we had here. Paste that. Command C. Over to the beginning of the first note. And then Command V. Get to the last few notes here. I know that I'm going to take these shorter ones. See? Last notes over here as well. 6. This is what that sounds like. It's going to sound a lot more like that UK drill sound. Nice, we're pretty much there. So I want to affect these notes now as well. For the same principle, the note's longer, but we're still going to half it the same way. So we're basically just going to create a double length envelope shape like this. Again, draw your markers at the start and the end of the note. Your second marker, drag it up. Here you go. It's that same shape there. Again, copy and paste it, Command C. Go to the next note of the same length. This would be my 808 part for this drill beat. So let's give it some context. That's how I do mine. If you want to copy these exact envelope shapes, they'll work perfectly for you. And then get creative as well. If you hold down Alt, you can actually bend the bends, so to speak. So if I was to hold Alt and go here, you'll see that I can bend these in a bit. You get more of a slope into it. Create more of a slope on your bend. That. So you could hear the curve of that note, hear the curve of this note. Look, I'm all pointing at the screen as if you're here watching me. You can hear the curve of this bend much better. It goes from the bottom, it goes wow, like that. Big up the sound effects. That's it, guys. Didn't want to get into too much technical detail. There's a lot of videos out there on this where people are just going into far too much detail and just clouding what to do. The main thing is just draw these envelope shapes in to the pitch automation, and that's how you're going to get your slides and 808 bends sounding like they get them in FL Studio and Logic. Hope you found it useful. Again, take it easy. Peace.